All right, we are recording. Ready? Okay, here is the card. Now, what's fun about these stitches and stitches that are in, the manual, right, is that you can combine these to make borders. Like, how many of you guys remember those great Elna manuals that came with the machines, like the 9000 that had all those wonderful borders and everything else, like as like a project? I don't know if you guys remember those or not.
I didn't have one of them. I didn't have one of those kind of machines.
Yeah, I have that book in the 7000 book somewhere amongst the rubble of my sewing room right now. And if I can find it, I'll see if I can scan in some of those borders. But they were just fantastic because in those days you had, you didn't have an embroidery machine. You had just the sewing machine. And Elna was probably hands down one of the best companies at creating wonderful borders combining these stitches. So now that we have embroidery, it's just easier to put them together in embroidery and hit start. So we're going to make a couple of stitches, and then I'm going to show you how to scan in an image, because we've always done load, because I send you the images and we just do load, right? So this time I'm going to show you some scanning things, and I have, my scanner is an Epson, but most of the software behaves pretty much the same. Now, what you need to think about, especially if we're going to save these and use these as motifs, right? Like if we want to use these little stitches, first off, we're going to make them a little bit bigger because, hey, if we're going to do them in the embroidery machine, we can make them any size we want. We're not limited by the width of the sewing machine now. But if we're going to do something, like lines like this, you grab this and I'll just make a quick line. Here's what we have in the program. That looks so funny. Doesn't that look like an arrow, Meg?
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it?
You distracted me then. I was looking for the stitches.
All right, you ready? Let me go in. And
what page did you say they started? Oh, here they are.
They started about 82. Yeah, here's the program stitches. You're kind of limited. Some of them are nice, Some of them are kind of interesting. But none of them are fantastic borders like what's on your machine, right? I mean, they're okay, but, they're not, this one's kind of big, but, here you go. This is what it ends up looking like. Let me change the color. That's what it ends up looking like. I've got every bead on here, so let me turn this all off. Okay. And, yeah, you can make it a little bit bigger, but, there's a limit to, what you can do with it. I'm going to make it 15. See, you start losing some density here because it's not really intended to be 15 millimeters, right? So if we make our own motifs, you can't save them in the program. So we're going to make these and save them so that, we can use them down the road. And in order to do that, we have to think logically. Excuse me. How are we going to connect these? Are we going to flip them around? What are we going to do with them, right? And so we'll start with something very simple. Like these would be very simple to work with. It's just going to be done with satin stitching. But the only thing you have to worry about is where you start and where you stop. Okay? So here's my, my enhanced column tool. And, you can, on this program, you can double click in place, right? Did you ever have one of those days, Meg? Hold on. I'm telling ya.
Mother's out of bed, so she's going to expect me to get her breakfast.
And I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. You're not allowed to. You can't go do breakfast now. You're in the middle of your class.
I know, but she doesn't understand that. She's got Alzheimer's.
Oh, that's right. I didn't know that. Okay, I'm gonna go into background.
And dementia. She's 94.
I'm going.
There's only one thing that comes first: is mother.
Is she still living with you?
Oh, absolutely. Where else is she going to go?
All right, now I went to the background select. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because that image is a little bit too small. And since my mouse disappears...
Mine does too when I use that.
Yeah, you know what, Meg? I don't think it's GoToMeeting. I think it's this new version of this image. Okay, let me see if I can... There we go.
Oh, okay.
Resize.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to make this mucho bigger because that's part of the problem. Okay, now at a 1-to-1 size, here's where we're at right now. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in around on these, and they're going to be very simple to make. We're just going to use, the satin tool, right? You can click, click. Oh, you know what?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
doing that. Hold on. I know why it's doing that. I'm sitting here thinking, why is it
You
doing
have
that?
your
Why is
grid
it driving?
setting.
Yeah,
Snap on.
snap to grid. There we go. I'm thinking, why is it misbehaving? Okay, snap, snap, or click, click, right? And then, we're just
Yeah.
going to right-click to make these curves. And depending on what size we're going to make, like right now we made this big. Okay, there's our nice little satin area. Depending on what size we make this, let me go back to 101. Are we going to make this little petal this size? Are we going to shrink it? If we're going to shrink them small, here's what we have to, I'm going to move this over. If my mouse will behave, maybe I'll move this.
Power edit.
Yeah, I guess. This is just going to be one of those annoying things, isn't it?
I always have to use power edit to move it. It bugs me.
It's got to be the new build. Okay, so if I make it this small, there's some things I have to think about. First off, let me zoom back in around this. Remember I told you have to think about your in and out points. How are you going to use this? This is shaped pretty much like a little leaf, right? So here's my little beads, show beads, and then I get those little beads right there, and then I get, my in and out points. Here's in, here's out. And show beads, these little beads here are going to let me adjust the angle. All right, so if I don't like what I did, then I can adjust it. This is my in point, this is my out point. If I'm going to use this like a leaf, then I might want to put those together. Then I know where it's going to start, I know where it's going to end. Or, if you're going to use it in a run, you can leave them separated like this. But you have to bear in mind when you connect them, you want your endpoints touching. Like I would take this and copy it, maybe. It's just going to be one of those days, Meg.
I figured that. I've got a headache, so
Here we go. See what?
I'll go back to bed when this is over. Oh, that's going to look good.
Let me change the color so you can see
How
what's
did
going
you
on.
do that?
Once I got
That's-
out of the beads and I went into select, let me get rid of this. I just, I make sure that I'm in select and drag around it and get those boxes. And first I was like this. I had all those beads and I was, kind of engaged in editing them. So it wouldn't let me grab it as easy. And then I just hit Control C to copy and Control V. And it does a copy. If you're not sure, if you're having trouble, because sometimes the program gets a little flaky, they've upgraded it and upgraded it and upgraded it. Oh, I have bunches of these. I guess it did copy all those times I didn't think it was copying.
Would you put one on top of each other?
Yeah, I guess I copied, way more than I thought. So anyway, that's why the stitch sequence viewer is nice, because sometimes the program misbehaves. Okay? Anyway, I'm going to make one of these purple and one of these blue. Okay, here's my in and my out points. Okay, see the green ball here? And then that red triangle is my out point. Okay, if I'm, using these in a run like this, let me go back and change that. Then, hey, it's okay if my in and out points meet like that. See that jump there? That's how you know that's how they're going to meet up. If I'm doing something like, like this, right? Like, move this over. If I'm doing something like this, or if that's what my intention is, then, right now, let me show you what's going on. You've got this jump there, and it might look okay right now, but, remember, here's your, wow, my in and out points just moved too, because they weren't there previously. It's going to be a long day. Now, here's my, see what's happening if I really look at this? It's, I've got that long jump, right? So it might work out okay if it's like this, it's going to hide underneath there. But, what if you're, putting something here, here, and here? You're going to have these jumps. So you want to control where those in and out points go depending on what you're going to use it for. For example, if I'm going to use it for leaves, I would want my in and out points to be together. That just makes life a little bit easier. You know what's going to happen. And, you can control this in and out points. Yeah, you're going to have a jump when you go, when you move that or you go to another section, but you can kind of control it. If you're doing leaves, for example, your in and out points are here on both of these. You know that that's where the stitching ends. So, maybe you're doing a stem. Okay, well, it's easy to know where to start that stem at then, right? Does that make sense now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to want to control where those in and out points are. Okay, let me zoom back out here, and I'm going to just move this over. All right, so those were easy ones. These are easy, but these can be, a whole lot of fun, too. You can have a lot of function with these stitches and not have to make them over and over and over. The more challenging ones are going to be, the ones that have these pieces like this. But these can be fun, too, because you can make, like this, do this, and then have a little flower, or this and flip it around. Or, for example, this is a perfect one to do like ribbon insertion, right? Because, that's exactly what it's for. You're going to, in our case, for embroidery, we would applique a ribbon down with maybe a running stitch and then put this over top of it. But, that's kind of what it's for, to hold that ribbon in place and make it look a little decorative. But I'm trying to make this a little bit smaller here. But like something like this, you can have a lot of fun with, too. So I'm going to work on this one, number 873. And then maybe we'll do, some of these floral ones too, because these are a different logic. These are all running stitches. We don't have to leave them as running stitches. We can do whatever we want. But, something like this is going to be a multi-piece one. You have to think about this one. And I like to zoom in because, just, I've got a little grid there I can kind of follow if I want to. But, I just like to zoom in. I can always resize, but it's easier to work with things close up when you're doing little detail things. Now this one you have to think about. If you're going to make this a run, you could, connect it here and have it, flip over and make kind of a circle. In that case, just make a circle, right? But in most cases, you're going to have it connecting up here, right? On one of these sides. So you have to think about it. You've got this little center section too. So, how would you handle this stitch? Well, on the machine, they did jumps. Well, we don't necessarily want this, to be a jump situation, so we're going to use our running stitch. And I would start on this corner and take that running stitch to here. Okay, do a left click and you've got that square point. See, you curved it and then you've got the square point. And if you don't like that, you can backspace to get rid of your points and come back in and make them a little bit neater. Okay, so now you're going to come up to this piece, right? And the reason I started here is because I want to connect on these ends. And then you've got, this piece here. And you could make that a little bit longer. Let me redo that real quick. Start on this corner. There's a reason I'm starting on this corner. And then bring it down and come up to here. You want no jump stitches on these. Okay, so there's my out point. Then I'm going to come over to here. That's my out point. One little jump over here is not going to hurt anything, but then I can make, this little section. If you want to go perfectly straight, you can hold your shift key, and that'll give you a perfectly straight line. See? If I hold the shift key, how it goes straight. And then I would put one right click on each side here to make it start curving. And then you're going to come down to here with a left click and then a left click right next to it. Okay, so now you've got your in point here, your out point here, and you're going to come back to this line. And you're just going to go from the out point down. and then just backtrack over. Actually, you don't even have to backtrack over. You could kind of just come down and hit enter.
Can I ask you something? When you put that, the email for the homework, is it my email or your email?
To send the homework in?
Yeah, I've got to send it to you, or is it saying that's coming from me?
If you log in to...
I've done that.
Okay, I think you put your email, and it sends me a notification that it's on the site. What it does is it lets you upload it to a site instead of trying to send it into email. And then, if something happens, because
I just got an email saying it was there, and I didn't know if you did. How does it know it's you?
Yeah, I must have, because my phone vibrated. And I learned to turn off my notifications, so I don't know if I get email on the computer unless I go look now. But my phone did a little ding. So, okay, so I'm down here, and here's my...
I found the other one. I couldn't find them all, so...
Oh, see, I'm proud of you. Okay, so here's my out point on this line, right? Then I'm going to come back over to this. And the reason I'm going to do this way is I can control my in and out points. I'm going to come up here and, left click... Hold the shift key to make that perfectly straight. Left click over here. And then I'm going to start right clicking because we have the Bezier curves, right? And you just have to have faith that it's going to curve. When you get here, left click, and then you can start right clicking again to begin those curves. And I usually try to stay pretty even, but what you'll find is the other side may behave a little bit different than that first side as you're coming around with those curves. Come up here and hold shift and make that perfectly straight again. Okay, so here's my line. See how I have that jump now? And if I want to edit a little bit, I can. There's my beads. Let me go to select, and I'm going to pull this out just a little bit. There's my starting point, but I want to pull this bead out just maybe a little bit. Wow, this just doesn't want to cooperate much today. I'm having a bad mouse day again. It's got to be. I think I'm going to try a different mouse. Anyway, so here's my starting point. What I need to do is undo. I need to get this little bead, and I need to move it down here to where I start. Then I need to take my end point, and I need to end over here. Okay, so now I have this nice little design. Let me zoom back out 101. And I'm going to come over here with my sequence viewer. And if you forget where the sequence viewer, it's view, and then it is sequence view. Okay, and that opens this little window up. I'm just going to minus because I want to select the whole color. And I'm going to select everything, turn off my beads so they're not in my way. And I'm just going to get the little hand and pull this over here. Because what I have right now is this nice little design, right? That doesn't want to move. And remember, I start here and end here. Nope, let me undo that.
Well, I was going to say, how'd you do that?
Yeah. I think it's, honestly, I'm beginning to think that it is, I think it's the program, to be honest, that is, doesn't like GoToMeeting. But, okay, so here's my little design, right? All right, so that's all selected, and I'm going to go to Edit, and then I can copy to my clipboard, and then Edit, and I'm going to paste from my clipboard. And remember, it comes up here.
Where?
It always pastes on top. But I've got these all highlighted. I'm going to change the color for right now. Okay, so there's my purple one. There's my blue one, and I need to get to this purple one or the blue one, either or. There. Okay, so I've got these two, and even if I flip these around, even if I'm going to zoom in on those, see if that helps a little bit. Okay, so here's my blue. Okay, so here's, if I, run these together, they're going to run together very well because where my in and out points are. Right? if I right-click and I go into Power Edit, nope, you know what I want to do? I want to right-click and go into the Reflect. If I go to Reflect, I'm just going to reflect it, I guess we can reflect it here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and reflect it. And even though I reflected it, I should not have a jump because remember I start here and I end here. And what I did when I reflected is like a mirror. I didn't rotate it, I reflected. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
All right, now suppose you,
go ahead.
now if you want to copy that purple one and bring it down and connect, and so you have 3, you want to make a continuous chain.
Uh-huh. Yeah, hold on. Something's not quite right on this. And I know I did this right. This is what's so frustrating. Hold on. Let me get rid of this and look at something. You know what? I'll just undo. We will go back and undo. Okay. I'm ending here. I'm not losing my mind, right, Meg?
No, no, you're
I'm
not.
starting to think I am.
You will when you get my homework.
I'll be like going, what is this stuff? No.
I just realised I deleted what I did on the Broderie Unglaze, so I've sent you a picture.
That's okay.
I sent the image.
Okay, now I know that I'm ending here, right? I know I'm ending here. I'm not losing my mind. All right.
Oh, dear.
I'm going to copy to the clipboard, and then I'm going to paste from the clipboard, and then I'm going to move this thing up here. See, that's what, this is what's driving me crazy, because I know I moved my in and out points, right? Let me look at those with beads.
Well, when you move,
Yeah, it shouldn't have made any difference. It should have, this is just not going to be one of those good days. Okay, yeah, because there's my out point.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you know what? Never mind.
you need to rotate it.
No, you know what it is?
No?
I work in different programs. This is the only program that does this where it pastes it at the beginning of the thing, okay? Let me go ahead and change all of these little colors.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's the only program that does it, the only one.
Yeah,
All right.
and then you've got to find it.
Right, then you have to find it. So let me change that color. That's the first thing. Just change the color right away. And then
Yeah, change the colour. It makes it easy.
and then we'll just move it up. Okay, now it will behave, okay? Here's my, I'm going to change this back to blue, and now it's behaving. There's my run. What was going on, Gloria, was because it pastes it at the beginning of the stitching instead of at the end like it should, right? It was reversed. I would have had to move the one I pasted up in order to not have that funny jump. So, all right, I'm going to redo. Okay, so now there's my, there's my jump, right? What I want to do is I want to select this section
I wondered
here.
what you were doing when you were doing it.
Oh, it's driving me crazy. I'm sitting there thinking, because I've been working on designs, right? And, and I think all I've done for a week and a half is digitize. So, you're not used to it doing that. And I should be by now. I should be. But, the other program I work in doesn't do that. All right, so I'm going to select this first one.
Would anyone
that
like
I
a
did.
cupcake with a cherry on top? That's what I've been digitizing.
Oh, I've been doing like these giant borders, which you guys are going to get a peek at, by the way. Okay, so I'm going to leave this at purple now. Okay, so this is my second one, and this is my first one. I'm going to select this one. I can left-click and drag around it like this. But so that you know, Gloria, the more complicated a design is, the less likely you are to select what you really want. These are simple, so we can get away with it. But really, you're much better off if you come over here and pick what you want, either by color or by piece. And it behaves like a Windows program at this point. If you hold Shift, you get everything.
If you hold Control, you only get
you get the
what
pieces.
you click.
Yeah, you get the pieces that you want.
Yeah.
Unless you think you're holding shift, then you get something like this, right?
Yeah. I knew what you did.
It's been a long day. All right, so I'm going to come in and just pick this blue one, and we'll go back, and if you right-click when this is selected, anywhere on the screen, you're going to get this menu.
Power.
Yeah,
And
I
we're
like
going
the
to
power
go,
edit.
well, if we go to Power Edit, I'm going to show you the difference. Oh, hey, there's a duplicate.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's see what duplicate does. If duplicate does the same thing. Oh, no, I forgot about that one. Oh, hey, okay.
It keeps putting them as until you click exit.
Right, so you hit escape. We'll play with that one next. So,
Yeah.
okay, so, you can drag around it, or you can come up here and just left click on the color in this case. And what I'm going to do is right click anywhere once it's selected. And if I do power edit, this is what happens. I can rotate it, but I've now rotated my in and out point. Okay, so I will have a jump. So I am much better off. You better unrotate.
Yep, there you go.
Okay. All right. Now we got to redo. Okay. Here we go. Or, I can right click and select reflect. And reflect is kind of a fun tool because, here's a reflect tool. I don't know.
I've got to get the cat out.
Yeah, the question mark makes you wonder. I'm not really sure what the question mark is supposed to mean, but you can do all kinds of neat things with this. You can reflect, like if I wanted to reflect on this, it would just reflect it, from this point, right? This would reflect dead center. This is what we used the last time. That's going to, you can reflect things in different ways. It's like a fancy mirror tool. I can copy this if I like as well. Okay? Right now I'm just going to go ahead and use this reflect tool. And then I just say OK. And see what it's done the way it reflected? Okay, so we'll go back and change this now.
I'm back.
You see, there's my jump, right? If these were closer together, then, I wouldn't have that jump, which is kind of the point of it, of doing the reflect in that fashion. So let me select that. And then I've got that nice little, run together. I could actually even make it multicolored, but, in most cases, we could make it multicolored. We'll play with that later. But, okay, now I'm going to go back to this reflect option, because reflect is fun, and, it's going to benefit us if we're doing these fancy borders. So let me undo.
Duplicate, you mean?
Well, I'm going to do duplicate too, but...
I hate it when it does that. It does that all the time on me lately.
I know it's like not really there. You know what? Let me go out of 3D, and I'm going to hit enter, and all right, undo. Oh, I guess it's just, we'll be using this one. The heck with this blue one. See ya.
That's what I end up having to do, and it's very annoying.
Yeah. Because it's not really there, it's just a ghost. Okay, so here we go. Here's our little thing. I'm going to turn off the beads now because we know our, in and out points are where they are. We know we're all good. So I'm going to turn off my beads. I'm going to select that. And we're going to go right-click and go back to our reflect. Now, I can copy. If I copy the reflection, and, I have this option to reverse the segment order, right? And what that means is exactly what it says. It's going to kind of reverse the sewing order for you. I'm trying to think of a good way to describe it. And it can come in handy, except in this case. Well, no, I guess in this case it can too. We'll just do a clean reflection. So we're just going to use this reflect. Okay? So, let me drag that over. And in theory, it should do great. But
yeah, but see, you moved the top one.
reflected.
You moved the bottom one instead of the top one again.
Right, but see what it did? It took this and it brought that line on top. Yeah, it wouldn't make it
the top one.
Well, no,
You sure?
here's what's going on. Okay, here's my top one, right? Let me get See what it did? It literally took every...
Oh, did it? Changed everything.
Right. So just so you know what that does.
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what the reverse segment is going to do. We're laughing, Gloria, because way back before they updated for Vista and for 7 and for, eventually 8, the program did different things than what it does now.
Mm.
So it behaved a little better.
It's still good, though. It's still fun.
It's still a good program. You just have to, you just get those little surprises once in a while.
You really have to digitize with this program, and you feel like you've accomplished something rather than those other things when you click on a thing and it's all done for you.
Yeah, the auto programs are nice if you just want, slap something and there you go, but you don't get any dimension.
Yeah.
It's
Mbird's getting good though. They've got a great feature in Mbird now, so the carve tool, it's really good.
I haven't really paid a lot of attention to Mbird. I like carve tools though. I have carve tools in some of the other programs I have. Okay, so we're going to go back and right click and we're going to reflect. And this time we're not going to reverse our segment. We'll just copy the reflection.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to use...
You do that one again.
This one will put it right on top. But if I use this one, or this one...
No, that one.
We'll try this one. There you go. Woohoo! But what I need to do is right-click and reflect again, and not copy this time. And this time I need to reflect here. And you'll see why in a second. See my run stitch left? And you'll know if you have any errors. Like I'm going to move this up a little bit, but see how, this is the perfect way to check to see if you have to edit a little bit. And I do. I need to edit because I'm just quite not balanced.
Hmm.
You don't know that though, right, Meg?
No, not at all.
So what I would do to make this balanced, which is always kind of important too, is I would line up those center sections and then take, this...
Keep going.
this one section here, which is now down here. Okay. This is the only time when you reflect, it actually puts it in the right spot at the bottom of the order. And, you're going to go ahead and do your beads.
Oh, okay. Right.
Let's zoom in. And you're going to adjust those beads. We'll go through, more editing, but let me move this out point. The other thing that you can do, which is easier, we have to go into Vertex, and we'll cover that. Now, the other thing that we could do, which would be actually a little easier, if I go back and undo all of this, right? Okay, so go ahead.
I would have reflected one of those.
Well, let me show you what you can do that's just easier. Ready? We're going to reflect, and we're going to copy, and we'll reflect here. I guess we want to reflect here. No, I was right the first time. I'm probably confusing poor Gloria near to pieces.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'll go back over.
Don't worry, she'll get the hang of it when she tries it. It's a good tool.
Yeah, I should just go in and do the Vertex edit, but I really don't want to kind of totally confuse her. Okay, so right click.
But you only have to move the beads.
Yeah.
You only have to move.
Well, I've got to move. Yeah, I've got to move the one bead thing out, but I'm going to go ahead and just reflect.
Oh, get away, get away.
I was kind of wondering what that was. Okay, this is the one
What's
I
that?
made, right? I don't know. Okay, there we go. I know it's not me on all of this. This is just enough to drive you nuts today.
I would go up there and unselect the show beads and select the show points.
Energy cooperatives.
What's that?
I have no idea. All right, who's playing?
That was me.
I might have bloody known.
Okay, so now this is what we got. I'm going to change the color so we can see, okay?
She's getting bored.
Miss Nancy, I'm going to mute you for a second.
But see, that ones don't match the top one now.
Right.
The bottom one, I mean.
All right, I'll break down and I'll do the beads. Hold on. Let me flip this around again.
Undo the beads.
I still have to
unlook.
reflect.
No, yeah, just unclick
Yeah,
the
hold
show
on. I
beads
still have
and
to
do the other
reflect.
one.
I know. Hold on. I'm reflecting. And this is why I'm reflecting. See how we're uneven? Okay, you get a little mini edit lesson. Okay,
Yeah.
first off, I need to move pieces. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag this so that those pieces are correct here. Okay?
Yeah, that's the best way to do it, and then you know you got it right.
Right, and then you've got this piece, which is the big piece at the bottom, right here. And I'm just going to click on that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up and I'm going to turn off this.
The beads, yeah.
I'm going to come over here to angle lines. And I'm going to turn on these. See those little blue beads? I don't know if you can see them here. Let me go out of 3D. See the blue beads?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what we're going to move. We're going to drag this down.
You just have to be in select, not angle
There we
lines.
go. Yeah, I have to go in.
No, up the top.
No,
up
I
the
can't.
top.
I don't think I can drag them that way.
Yeah. That's how I do them all the time. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna let me do that. Okay. I should be able to do it.
And then you just correct it from Vertex Select.
Yeah, let me move this down.
It's a bit of a nuisance, but it works eventually. Too far.
I need to bring this one down a little bit more. So, you're just going to kind of adjust these. But I'm going to have to adjust them on both sides.
Yeah.
Okay. So, now the better way...
I'd adjust the blue one then. I wouldn't change that. I'd change the blue one.
Well, there's a quicker way to do it, actually. So, okay, now what we did is we went to select, we just did these blue beads. But these all give you different things. See, when I get to these little angles, I can control this.
That's a fun one, yeah.
Yeah, we'll cover that when we go through editing. Now, the quicker way to do this is, let me get rid of all of this, because we did follow pretty much this pattern, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to zoom back in. Let me scroll back over. And we're going to do this so that things are definitely a little more uniform. But we still need to start with our in and out points. And the best way to do this at this point is still going to be to start with, your run over here. Left click here. And then come up. And I'm just going to go ahead and go all the way up here. Okay. Now let me turn off these little beads now. All right, so there's my first one. Then I'm going to still do my little satin. And, see where my grid is? I'm going to go in and I'm going to make my grid a little bit smaller. Here's my grid settings. And I'm at 10 millimeters, so I'm going to put this at 2.5 millimeters.
Yeah.
And 2.5, okay? Solid lines, dashed lines, what color do I want? Let's make this a little bit darker, too. Okay, well, that didn't do much, did it? Hold on.
There they go. There you are. There's no color there, though.
Yeah, that's what, I'm looking at the grid setting. Okay, there's my color. Well, I guess maybe we'll change both of these and see what happens.
That's the spacing. That's the minor grid.
Right.
Major grid, minor.
Here's my minor. Here's my major. Solid lines. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And see, yeah.
Yeah, it should have just done them on all of them, so I guess it considers them all major. But okay, now I can see my grid, and this is going to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to come over to the column stitch, and I'm going to, left click, hold the shift key. That puts it, automatically straight. And then right click over here. And if you want to use this grid, since you've got it here, you might as well right click and right click on the grid. See how much easier it is to follow? Okay. And then I'm coming back to my line. Okay, so now we've got this piece right here, and it doesn't quite line up with the grids, but you know, there's a way to make sure that it's uniform as well. We're going to start up here again, and I'm going to just take this and hold my shift key and come up. You know, I could try to make that curve, but you know, I'm going to go ahead and make it straight because I really kind of want it to be a little more, you know, modern looking. But I'm going to keep with these grids, this grid line. Even if I hold the shift key, even when I'm right clicking, it'll take it a little bit straighter across. I guess not on this. You know, this is driving me buggy. All right, so now I'm going to come down here, and I probably should use this grid and right click here too. And then I'm going to left click here. 2 left clicks and finish it. Okay, so there's my one piece, right? It looks much more uniform right now. Then I'm going to go
that's
to
what I would have done.
select. Okay. I'm going to go to select, right?
Yep.
I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it. And let's make it purple because we know now that it has to come down here. Right?
Yeah.
We're going to drag that up. Okay, so here's my new piece. Now I'm going to right click and I'm going to reflect it and I'm going to reflect it here.
Other way.
Nope.
No, it didn't work that way.
So it should.
Oh, I see what you did.
Now I'm going to
Yeah, it
drag
makes it
this
uniform.
down
Yeah.
a little bit more so that it's right over top of that. Okay, so what I have now is I'm going to go ahead and change this color. And
But
then,
now it's not matching the grid.
it doesn't necessarily have to match the grid. It has to match.
Yeah, but when you put the other one there, it will be out of alignment because it'll be matching the opposite sides.
Well, let's watch what happens. We've got these pieces now, which makes it a little bit easier to adjust, too. Okay? Let me go down to 101. All right, so now I've got my grid space that's all over the place, right? But we're going to go ahead and leave it there. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to get my little hand and drag it over here just to get off of that picture. And then I'll zoom back around. Okay? All right, so I've got this. Now I have to watch what I'm doing with my in and out points. And even though, you know, I've adjusted, you know, and flipped this, I still have to check my in and out points. We know that this one, and this one are okay because we made those. These two need adjusted, so I have to turn my beads back on. I want my in point to come down here where my out point is. And then I'm going to click on this second piece, and I want my out point over on this corner and my in point down here. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so now this in effect sews as one continuous piece. And to double check it, you've got your little previewer. Okay?
That's a lot faster than the other way.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
It is.
It is, and it's, you know, there's a million different ways to do something, but this will give you a little more uniformity, and watch what happens. Okay, here's my, you know, here's my selected thing. I'm going to go ahead and turn off these beads for right now. They don't bother me to work with the beads on.
No,
But-
me neither.
You know, it depends on what you get used to. Sometimes trying to explain it with the beads on is a, you know, you're looking at all this stuff on the screen and you're going, I have no clue, right? So if those beads are getting under your last, you know, on your last nerve, just turn them off. Okay, so I've got this selected. Now I'm going to right click. I'm going to reflect. I'm going to copy it this time. And I'm going to reflect here. Well, let me undo because that's not really what I wanted. You know I hit undo. There we go. All right. Okay, reflect.
Maybe when you flick the one that doesn't look right, the one down the bottom.
Right, the one down
The
at the
bottom.
bottom.
Yeah.
And then it moves it to the right place.
There we go. Okay,
It
see how
did.
much
Yeah,
better?
go.
See how much better
Yeah.
that looks now?
It looks like it's a lot easier to do, too.
Looks like a big eye.
Yep. Now
Yes.
you could come in here and you could adjust these if you wanted to, okay, to make them more rounded. I'll kind of leave that up to you, but look at how much more we're lining up. Now, what we have to check is,
I like that.
you know, if we're going to reflect like this, what you have to check is, okay, here's my last piece, right? You might want to look at where things are. Okay, here's this piece down here. You know, we're not going to quite line up, so you might want to take this, and if you want to really see how symmetrical you are, right-click on it again and reflect, and I'll show you why we're doing it this way. Watch, I'll probably pick the wrong one again. We're not going to copy this time, we're just going to reflect it. Yeah, hold on. My logic brain cells are not there today.
Yeah, no, but that's not easy to work with that thing. Mine when I reflect, it always ends up somewhere I don't want it.
Right, I want it to reflect this one. No, I want it actually right here. Duh, I'm awake.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to reflect like this. Okay, see, I'm not quite symmetrical, but it's a whole lot easier to edit. Now, these pieces are pretty good. All I've got to worry about is this piece and my lines, right? And those are easy enough to select. You know, here's the line. You know, here's this piece. So I would just come down and select those three pieces and zoom in on the area. And then, you know, you've got those pieces selected. All you have to do is move those pieces, right? And then you've got symmetry again.
Yep.
So, you know, it's a whole lot easier to deal with. Jeez. Here we go. Okay, it's a whole lot easier to deal with when it's in pieces, especially on this. Now, if I wanted to edit those pieces in here, you know, you're going to have to deal with your in and out points. That's what, you know, we kind of were talking about. Here's that last piece of my blue. I'm going to turn my beads on. Here's my out point. Here's my first point of the purple. See how it comes right into that? So really, I have no jump stitches on this. You change this all to blue. See how that, you know, just the logic of how it's made, right? We start here, we come up here, we do this piece, we come down here, we come up here, we end here, we start here, we come, you know, that's kind of the beauty of making sure that you know where your in and out points are and what you can do with them. Okay, now I am going to undo, and get rid of this one piece. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the purple piece. Okay, so here's my blue piece again, and why that in and out point is very important is because I can do lots of things with this. I can do something like this. You know, I can go back in here, I can reflect, and, you know, copy that reflection. And let's reflect it here. Okay, now I'm going to move this because I've got to jump. I've got to jump all the way from here to here. Okay? Because I picked the wrong reflection. But that's what undo is for. So I'm going to undo and go back and reflect again. I think I picked the bottom one, so this time we'll pick the top one. There we go. Okay, now, here's what I've got. Okay, can you guys see that jump? Let me go back into 3D. See the jump all the way across? Because I reflected. Okay, here's my out point. There's my in point. You know, so, you know, just because I reflected correctly to where I want it to be does not mean that, you know, literally it's going to reflect. It's a literal mirror reflection. If you look at this.
Don't you sew the first one down the bottom first?
Right, I'm going to sew the first one, but see where my out point is now and my in point? Because I reflected. So if that's the case, just come over here and reflect it again without copying it, and you've got it where you want it again. Now I'm just going to have a
Yeah, good
continuous
idea.
run. So, the reflect tool is going to be, a lot of fun. If I really wanted to reflect here, actually I would probably do something more like this. No yawning, Meg.
Sorry.
There we go. Okay, this is
You could
probably...
hear me then. I tried very quietly.
I have a very, very good headset now. I can hear you guys. How's that for intimidation now? I'm just joking, Gloria.
Well, listen, every now and again when you hear the water running, the water goes, that's my screensaver keeps kicking in.
I thought, is she making tea again already?
No, it's my screensaver. I'm going to have to turn it off.
No. Well, okay, now, so see, you can do this two-color. Like, if I make this with a two-color piece, then, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to save this, save as, make a really good folder so you know where this is, and title it, like motif line 1 or motif pattern 1 or something. Something that you'll know what it means, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so there's my, the image is modified. No, I don't want to save the image. Oh, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
fine
you do,
with that. No, because I've got the image. I didn't want to modify
okay.
it. I didn't want to modify it. Okay, so now what I can do, I've saved this nice little pattern that I've made, right? So I'm going to close that down. And let's go ahead and get, I'll leave our grid on for right now. Let's go ahead and, here's my most recent one. I'm going to open that up. Yeah, I don't care if you find the image file at this point. Let me go to 101. Okay, there's my nice little, pattern. It's in 2 colors. If I wanted to save it in 1 color, I could just go back to View and then Sequence View and just select this and change it to, a 1-color pattern. So I have a lot of flexibility with this design.
And I'd put the two pieces together and make it running like a circle.
Yeah, but I kind of like this.
That bottom edge, that one down the bottom. No, keep going.
Hold on. I know what you're saying down here. Like move it down
grab
to here.
Grab the bottom one. Yeah, well, that'll do too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I like that too. Yeah.
To each their own. But
Now, I have a question.
uh-huh.
Now, if you wanted to make that in a larger
All you do is select
stitch
it
out,
and just drag it to a new size.
and it would stitch out that size.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
You might want to watch that satin stitching at this size. You might want to change the properties, right? But that's what's so nice is no matter what size you make it, if you save it in that ESX file, you can pull it in and do anything that you want. If you're going to, I'll give you a tip on this one. If you are going to save this in 2 color like this, you're going to want to do something here, and I'll show you what you will want to do because the whole goal is not to have 8 bazillion jump stitches, right? Okay, if I save it like this, me minus these closed, I'm going to select all of this, and I'll show you what happens. Here's both of these, I'll try to remember to right-click, copy, paste. Let me pull these down to the bottom. So I'll pull those down to the bottom, right? And then I'll pull them, in this direction. Okay, now if I do it this way, first off, I'm going to have 8 bazillion color jumps, and the first thing I'm going to want to do is color sort, right? So if I color sort, I'm just going to come grab this and pull it up to the blue. But see, I've got those jumps. See the 2 jumps now? So if you're going to save something in like a multiple color, take the time to copy and paste it like this, okay? And take the time to add a step here after this. Okay, we know we put our beads on that this piece ends here, right? From that point, I can take this, and I'm going to make it a different color. I'm just going to make it yellow for right now. And I can take this and I can make a run all the way over to where I start here, correct?
Uh-huh.
Okay, now, since I made it a different color, it's easy enough to just drag and drop up there and change the color. Okay, so I resolved one problem. I always forget I have to select two. Okay, blue. So I changed that to blue. Okay, so there's my line I made. Okay, so now when I drag this up here, you know, I don't have the blue jump. I have the purple jump. So I'm going to do the same thing. Let me undo so I have those colors separated. And I'm going to come after this one. And I'm going to do the same thing. I know that I end there. You know, let me change the color. Oops. Let me change the color to yellow. And do the same thing. Do a run line. You know, I know that I end over here. I'm just going to do a little run from the purple to the purple. Okay, and I made it yellow again so that I could, you know, come in here and move it around.
Uh-huh.
Hold on. So I'm going to move it right after that one, and I'm going to hit purple. And then we're just going to color sort these. Well, I guess I'm not hitting purple. Hold on a second. I have to hit select, that's which I keep forgetting to do. Okay, now the only thing I have to look at on this is, you know, if I do it this way, I'm going to have a problem here. So I'm going to have to take a jump somewhere. Right? So I can take the jump here. You don't want that running line on there. There's no good way to hide that line. Or I can take these pieces and make my life a little bit easier. And move those so that the jump's a little bit easier to get to. And let me get to... You know what? I shouldn't have color sorted. It would have been easier. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, here we go. There's my out point. If I move this, that makes that jump a little easier to get to. Okay, does that make sense when you're, you know, clipping your thread? You know,
Yes.
it makes it a little bit easier to cut that line rather than it going straight across that other stitching. And you can, you know, you can move the other point too and stuff. So, but, you know, that's something, oh, that's a point I was looking for. I'm like thinking, why am I not getting what I want? There's my other end point. You know, move it so that you can cut that easier. Okay, you don't want to have to try to, you know, cut across your thing. So, okay, so now does that make sense? And with that done, what I can do is I can get rid of these pieces. And I can just save this as it is. Because I really only need this piece. That's all I need, you know, to save that. So we'll save this as, you know, remember to save it ESX to color. Okay? So now anytime I open this, all I have to do is come up here, you know, edit, copy to clipboard. Edit, paste from clipboard. Or you can just Control V. And just remember that what it's going to do is paste them on the top. I'm going to close all of these windows so I can select these and drag them down to the bottom. Okay, so now I've got them in the right order, and I'm going to use this to select them, and just use your grid, unless of course it just decides to not let me select things, and use your grid to move these into position. I'm going to zoom back in. And then you're just going to color sort. turn this off. And that's just going to be real quick. Like if I have, I'm going to go ahead, I'll copy a bunch of these so you can kind of see what's going on. You know, edit, copy. Anytime I copy, it's glorious so that, you know, because I've already copied these two, and anytime I go to edit, paste from clipboard, you know, they're just going to paste the new ones on for me.
Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Well, I've been talking to you, and you never answered, and
Oh, we just heard you.
you did then because I went up there and looked and I was muted. I don't know how that happened.
Oh, you know what? I actually never got around to muting you, so I don't feel so bad. I thought at first maybe I did it. Okay, let me zoom in. And then I'm going to move those. Anyway, what I wanted to show you is, you know, I've got all these colors now, right? All these staggered colors because I'm making a big border. And, you know, I know that it pastes on top of those first two. You know, as soon as I paste two more copies, I know they paste right on top here.
And you've got no jump stitches.
Not yet because I haven't color sorted. But I need to I moved those two I just pasted, and what I need to remember to do is to move them down here. Okay, so right now, you know, this is what I've got. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, and I can keep doing this and doing this and doing this and copy and pasting and copy and pasting, and the program behaves a little bit better when I'm not doing the video thing. But, you know, so I can make this nice little border. And then instead of changing my needles every 5 seconds, I can left click on this, hold my control key, left click on this. You know, hold on. Left click, control, and left click, and then move those up. And I've automatically color sorted. And see, I didn't drag something. Oh, no, I'm okay because I have that. You know, my purple's going to have jumps. I just have to move some things. Anyway, so, oh no, I'm out of order. I forgot to drag something. But, anyway, you get the point on this, right?
I have the gist of it.
Yeah, the problem the one thing that you have to remember is these, I'm going to just get rid of these two pieces, and this is the best way to handle it so that you know. Let me get rid of this. I'll show you that the easiest way to handle these colors to keep your sanity. How's that? Okay. The easiest way to keep your sanity on this is to, you know, copy, edit, copy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Edit, paste, and know that it's going to paste them at the top. Okay, so now I've got like 4 of these. If you remember to come up here and, you know, change these 2 colors, like select this one, change it to green. You know, select this one, you know, change it to a different color. That makes it a little bit easier to keep track of these and remember to drag them. Hold on, let me collect both of these and drag these down to the bottom. Because it gets when it pastes on top like that, it kind of gets really frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And you can lose track of it real easy. So I always color sort them in this fashion. And I'm not going to worry about it.
I was wondering why you were putting them on the top and not at the bottom, but my head's in sewing mode, not embroidery mode.
You know what? I was dragging them. You know, I knew that they pasted on top, and I thought I had dragged them, but when I would click my mouse, it would combine them in some weird way.
No, but I mean, on the stitch out section, it's going to stitch from the bottom to the top.
Right.
Which is how the embroidery works, whereas if it was the sewing machine, you'd be stitching from the orange down to the blue.
Oh, yeah, it's going to start and go up here.
And I'm thinking to myself, what's she doing that? What's she putting it up there for? You know, I was in sewing machine mode, so.
Then you can come and just change your colors and sort them out. And it just makes it so much easier if you just control it with color. Okay, so now I've got, whoops, except like that. Make sure you pick the right color. I'm batting 1,000 today, I'm telling you. Okay, there's purple. All right, so there's my nice little jump that I made, and I've got no jumps here. And I can resize this as big as I want. Okay?
Isn't it pretty?
It is pretty, and it's going to get even prettier in a second, because I'm going to go to View. I'm going to just turn my grid off for right now. But I'm going to go back to View, Display Hoop, Load. I'm going to pick my continuous hoop. You know that metal hoop that came with your machine, Gloria?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's
Never
called,
used it.
well, that's called a continuous hoop. And in order for that to be used on the machine, the program has to have the continuous hoop on. Okay, so I've got this. I'm going to go ahead and stretch this design out a little bit. And we'll just make it one big giant design. And then I'll change the stitch, stitch properties. Okay, so there's my big giant border, right? Which of course I would change. I wouldn't leave the satin stitching necessarily this big, but you guys get the point, right? I've got one little thing that I'm going to cut, and if I want to make this a continuous border, which, by the way, how long did it take me to get you guys to quit doing continuous border designs at that seminar, Nancy?
Oh, we had a good time with that.
Yeah, that and the circular sewer. I think I had to finally say, okay, we're running out of time. But the continuous border designs are fun because they're so easy to line up. What's going to happen the minute I save this, okay? Let me zoom out a little bit. That's how big of a segment you can do, which doesn't seem like much, except the beauty of this thing is it's so easy because it just clamps onto the fabric, and there's no way not to line this up. Because as long as I have this continuous hoop on, then the program is going to save this in a folder specifically for continuous hoop, and when I open it up on the machine, there's a special little icon on your machine with a little border, kind of scallopy border.
Machine?
Right.
On the sewing machine?
That's going to open up only your continuous designs. But what the program does, I'm going to see if I can show what it does here. I'm going to go ahead and say Smart Media Output, and see it says continuous hoop.
Mm-hmm.
And let me find some drive I can use. Hold on. I have a card in, but I don't have the smart card, so I'm going to cheat.